Welcome to the Divine Style Podcast with Gerlinda, Stella, personal stylist and self-love coach, and Alison, Maiden, psychic medium, spiritual healer and metaphysical teacher. Each episode you'll experience spiritual lessons to cultivate self-love and self-expression so you can become the best version of you.
Hi, I'm Gerlinda.
And I'm Alison.
Welcome back after your little break away.
I'm so refreshed.
Oh, very good. Today we're talking all about intuition. I love this topic because this is really how my journey into, spirituality started, because I just wanted to know how to understand my knowing better, because I knew I could pick up things and understand things. You know, that stuff where you think of someone and then they ring you.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how to tune into that more and get more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everyone starts there, to be honest, because everybody does actually have a sixth sense. It's part of our human nature. It's part of our survival mode. So when you get a gut instinct on something, you should really follow it through. But the questions that I'm always asked is, how do you know? How do you know if it's yours, or how do you know if it's someone else's, or how do you know if it's coming from another source like your guides? And that is a bit of a tricky question sometimes, because let's face it, we all want to have things that we really love and we want them to be right. For instance, when people ask me about, is he going to be the one for me? You know, those sorts of questions. The pendulum says yes.
And we all know we can control our pendulums.
Well, this is it. So you really kind of need to have that, I suppose, that very line in the sand kind of thing, you know, where you go, right, well, I know exactly what is mine and what isn't. And I think when it comes to intuition, if you're getting things out of the blue, if you're not thinking about anything in particular, if it's just sort of falls into your head or you suddenly get a feeling about it, that's your own psychic abilities kicking in there. And certainly those types of messages, when they happen, they are the ones that you definitely need to listen to. And it was funny because we were chatting just earlier actually, and I said, Spirit were on at me about, sitting down and listening, because I'm notoriously bad, me, of all people, notoriously bad for not actually listening to messages for myself from them. So I'm very good at listening to other people's messages, and that's my job.
It's so true though, isn't it? When when it's for yourself, when it's like, this is for you, you need to listen.
Me. Well, I think that probably goes with any job, really.
Well, when you're caring for others, it's kind of, I guess, when you think about it, like the painter in their house, the paint's falling off the wall. So sometimes it's a good reminder that, we have to listen in too.
Bit of self-maintenance. So, I had to sit down and meditate on this particular subject, and it was really important, and there was a lot that they told me during that time, and then I went, okay, and then all of the feelings that I was getting stopped. So I was getting feelings of dread and, oh my God, something bad's going to happen. All it was just, will you sit down and listen? It was just them saying, you really got to stop. So you may be getting feelings that to you are a little bit over the top. You might feel like, oh, I've got this terrible feeling of dread, like something bad's going to happen. And that just might be your guides trying to say, hey, you really need to stop and listen to us. And whichever way you get your messages through, you need to use. So we have tools we can use.
I think that's really important too to think about. We have done a podcast on the different psychic gifts, and that's definitely part of how we understand our intuition, knowing that some people get images, some people might hear sounds. I know for myself, I do have quite a few of the senses which have opened up, which we've spoken about through Reiki and meditation, which we can talk about more in depth. But certainly for me, hearing things auditory, because often people say, well, how do you know if it's your own voice or the voice of something else? And for me, it has taken a little bit of training, but I do now know very clearly the difference between my own thoughts and that of something that's popped into my head.
And I think you'd probably agree that it's down to practice, and the more that you are doing readings for other people, because you've been doing readings now, which have been fantastic and getting good feedback, of course, because you've been trained by the best.
I have indeed. I'm very blessed.
I was only joking, but there's a lot to do with training in any field. You have to be able to practice. It's like, learning piano. You've got to go and practice. It's the same in this field as well. If you don't allow yourself time away, quiet time away, and practicing things like, reading for other people, psychometry is a really good way to start. And we do that in the courses, as you know, because it is an easy thing to do. So you can hold someone's jewellery or something they've been wearing and get the vibration off of that. That's a really good place to start. Once you actually realize the difference between your own thought and that is coming in from spirit by doing these readings, then you know it's there. You can see that's the division. That's where it is. That's the line in the sand. I know what's mine. I know what's coming from them. And it's easy after that to know whether it's your intuition or whether you're hopeful, wishful thinking.
Yes, and I think the other thing that was one of the blocks for me was, I think, wanting to be right. I think that's a really natural one for most people, that we always want to be right, and so we've got to be willing to get it wrong in order to learn the differences of this, when you're practicing.
Absolutely, and getting it wrong is not always wrong either. I suppose I'd have to explain this one in that spirit don't have timelines. Okay, so in the spirit world, things for them are virtually without time, and it's hard to imagine because we have linear time here, so we know that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything. Okay, for them, getting something right, as in a prediction or things that are going to happen, it may have already happened. So you could say to somebody about, sitting on a beach and seeing the red umbrella and blah, blah, blah. And they'll say, oh, yeah, I was there yesterday and that's exactly what I saw. So in that case, that was just a message from the spirit world saying, well, we were there with you and we saw that too. So that's the comfort thing of knowing that they're close by and that they've seen it and they know what you're up to, which can sometimes be a little creepy, but
But definitely that's your intuition picking up, so it is correct.
Yeah.
Not necessarily prophecy,
No.
which I guess is that's more the forward or the future.
And of course, future paths can change depending on people's free will. So something you've seen for them may actually happen, but in a lesser degree, because you've warned them about it. I've had lots of times where I've been given medical warnings to people, and I'm sure I went through those years as a paramedic so that I could do that in my job now, so that I was aware of those things. And when I've given those medical warnings, it's been like quite dire in some cases, and it has actually come true. And they've said, oh, well, I went to the doctor and normally I wouldn't have done that. Well, you've actually changed the timeline there, and that warning came through from spirit for that right reason. And there's other times where you won't be told because it's on their path. That's what they've chosen to do. And I've actually had a couple of people come back to me and say, I had a terrible accident and you didn't predict it. I'm like, well, did everything else happen though? Yeah, everything else happened but that one. Well, that's because you weren't supposed to know about that. It was not meant to be changed. And so therefore, you had to go through it for your own learning. Obviously, you're still here, which I'm really grateful for. But yeah, there was, and it's not.
Some of those timelines can't be changed.
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger. I mean, we just get the information. We don't, make the rules.
And I think you brought up a really important point, because how often, and I think everybody listening would have had those times where you go, oh, I should have listened to my intuition. Mm-hmm. And it is such an incredible thing when you can tap in, you can tune into this, because then you can actually tune in and give advice to other people and say, so you are speaking up, so you are saying what's coming through, and it can be really, really helpful, especially in terms of health or accidents or things like. The amount of times I've said that to my kids. Obviously we have these fears with our children, but I'll say, oh, be super careful today, or please watch where you're going, or I've just got a funny feeling about you going to this place, could you postpone it? And they do it, and you'll never know the outcome because they've followed the advice.
But that can make the difference, and it can be a single thought or a change in direction that'll make that difference, And I had been, I'll give you an example. Years ago, my husband was working as a truck driver, and he was working in between states. And I'd been to see a psychic. This is a long time ago, 20 years ago. And she said to me, does your husband drive big vehicles? And I said, yes, he does. And she said, oh my God, tell him to stop driving to Melbourne because he's going to die in an accident. And that's a pretty big thing for a psychic to tell anyone, And I went, oh God. And it did hit me a little bit between the eyes. And I thought, wow, okay. I said, all right, well, I'll tell him to be careful. So then I put out to my guides to keep him safe. And I said, whatever it takes to keep him safe, please do that. Well, funnily enough, he was gearing up for his next interstate journey, and he fell out of the truck and broke his ankle.
So he couldn't go?
He couldn't go.
Oh, that's incredible.
And he was off for 6 weeks. And then at the end of that 6 weeks, they actually stopped that run for him, and he ended up doing a different run. So there's sometimes things happen for the right reasons, even though it looks like it might have been a bad thing at the time. It's to keep you safe, perhaps. That's why I say don't ever complain about flat tires or anything else, because you never know what is on the road ahead that you can't see, that it stopped you from being there at that time, you know.
Very true. And warning of things like if you feel like, obviously being on the car in accidents is a huge one when you get a funny feeling about it. And if it still happens, it could have been that it might not have been as bad because you were prepared. Like you said, you're more prepared for the actions that come about.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you recommend for people to start to practice that muscle? So readings for other people, but maybe I have read some things around how you can try and predict what's on the next page of a magazine or things like that.
Yeah.
How do you suggest people work with their intuition?
Well, it's all exercises, of course, and you can do things at home like meditation. People find really hard because as a human race, we've actually been programmed to watch the TV and to keep our intuition right out of it, because that'll distract you. And I think I've told you the funny story of how my mum sits on top of our television if I'm watching, and I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do, her little blue light sits on top of my television because she's like, I really want to tell you something right now, and you're watching something. So, keeping your eyes open for things that are different. When you see those things, that's them trying to get a message through to you. So go away from the TV or turn it off, sit quietly, maybe light a candle. Open eye meditation is the best way to start, looking at the candle, looking at the flame. The flame actually activates your third eye, which is activated by light. So the flame of the candle will activate that third eye. And then when you close your eyes, you may be getting visions or other things that will come through as those messages. Take everything that you have from spirit and don't question it, even if it seems really obscure, because they do talk in riddles sometimes, and cryptic kind of messages will come through. I often say, why don't you just tell me about XYZ? And they can't, because that's interfering in your free will.
Yes,
right?
There's definitely more. Well, for me, it can be pictures and things like that, like you say.
They give you clues. So when you get it, it's like, aha, we haven't broken that law, right? But we've given you that clue. So there are universal laws, which we're going to talk about in the next podcast, I think, about the laws of the universe that spirit can't break. Okay, so they can help you, but sometimes the messages that come through are cryptic because they don't want to break those laws. So we have to be open to symbology as well. Learning symbols is a really big part of any intuition and any intuitive reader. So, when you see something and it's symbolic, for instance, you might close your eyes and you see a dog, and the dog has vicious fangs coming at you and it's like it's ready to bite you. Now, you might take that as being, oh my gosh, maybe there's going to be a dog attack or something's going to come at me. That's probably the case. There will be something coming at you. But dog in spirit talk represents friend.
Yes,
right.
This makes much more sense.
And so it's the same as when you're reading tea leaves, for instance, which I've been doing since I was 5 years old. It's awesome. Everyone should do it. It's so much fun.
I haven't done that yet. We need to do a podcast on that. That's awesome.
It's called tasseomancy. But there is certain patterns that come up in the cup, and sometimes you'll see, like a dog shape in the cup, and you'll see the angry fangs of the dog, and you'll think, oh, you're going to have an argument with a friend, or there'll be somebody betraying you. So this is the type of symbology that you can get up in dream journals. They will often use symbology in dreams, and it's a similar type of thing when you're reading. So get yourself a really good book on symbols. 101 Symbols, I think, is a really good one that's still available out there. Or any good dream journals, because they will help you interpret what you're seeing. The other thing to do is to have tools available to yourself. So, using things like pendulums. Pendulums are fine as long as you're protecting them, as long as you're asking spirit to protect the energy around them, and also that you're not asking the same question over and over again until you get the answer you want.
Because your pendulum will get annoyed.
It will. It will just stop working. Oracle cards are also another good way. You can pull a card, for clarification on something you're feeling. When you're getting those gut instincts of don't do that, then don't do it.
It's pretty basic.
It is really basic. Or if you get an excited feeling about something coming up, then look forward to something that is great that's coming. And I would say too, time for yourself in meditation is the absolute key to moving forward in anything.
It is, I think, because for me, I love meditation, and I practice it every single day. And when I don't do it, I do get quite antsy. I mean, I missed a day because we were traveling and we were away. And I said to my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, I just feel really unsettled. And I recognized it was because I hadn't meditated that day. And even 5 minutes can make a whole heap of difference. But it does then also help you to be able to shut off your own mind's thoughts to be able to allow those of spirit to come through.
Absolutely. And just on meditation as well, people say, I can't meditate. My mind just wanders off and I'm too busy. Once again, it's because you're programmed to be watching something all the time. So if you can't do it straight off the bat, then that's fine. All you have to do is find some good guided meditations, which I'm going to be releasing soon.
Exciting.
And those guided meditations will help you get to that space where you can allow your thoughts just to wander and see what comes to you. We do a lot of meditations when we're doing our group work, and quite a few people that have never meditated before have said to me, I actually saw something I didn't expect to see. So, for instance, I might take you to a rainforest, and that rainforest is a beautiful clearing and there's a waterfall, and we sit on the rock and we wait for our loved ones or our spirit guides to come to us. Now, a lot of people said that they got to the rock or the waterfall and then they expected to see their mum or their dad come through, and it was some other relative that they never even thought about. Now, you would not get that in a meditation that you're contriving, because, of course, you're going to want those people to come, so that's what you'll see. When you get something completely different, that's definitely spirit coming through to you.
It's so true. It's incredible. And I have done this meditation with you, and I did have, I had an uncle come through, and it was incredible, and I didn't expect him to be there, and it was really beautiful. And there was some unhealed stuff there to be healed, and it was absolutely beautiful to be able to do that. And I could actually get those visuals of the place. And often, even with a guided meditation, you don't have to feel bad if you're not getting the visuals, because you can just get the sense, because not everybody's going to see the pictures. If somebody's talking about a forest or something, if you can't see the actual forest, you can just feel what that feels like to be in a forest.
Yeah, that's right. Or even like use your imagination, visualize something that you've been to before. Up here it's quite easy for us because we're surrounded by rainforest. But, if you've seen the pictures in the books or whatever, just visualize those pictures. And very soon you'll find yourself moving into the actual place. And it takes practice, but you'll do it.
With intuition, I find that it's that... I call it the knowing. And when we're in that place of knowing, it's very different to sort of learning or the intellect or using our brains. And that's the difference with intuition. It doesn't come from our brain.
No, it does not. And that what you're talking about is claircognizance, which is the official term for knowing. And that is when you are in a situation and someone might be talking to you about their new partner, and they're very excited about the new partner, and you just get this feeling like, no, that's just not going to work. And you don't know the new partner. You have no idea. You don't even know their name yet. It's nothing to do with them as a person because you don't know them. You just get the gut feeling that, no, that doesn't feel right. The vibration's not there. That's actually your guides listening into the conversation who do know about the new partner, who do know the new partner. And they're like, But here's the thing. Should you say something to your friend at that point?
That is a good point to make. This is because not always when we've got the intuition should we be saying anything.
No.
And I've had this experience where I've messaged you after and said, I just got all this information and I didn't say anything, but did I do the right thing? Because I was feeling maybe was I on spirit side or was I on the human side? I felt very, sort of torn between two worlds, literally.
Yeah, and that comes down to ethics as well. If you have information for someone that may upset them or hurt them in some way, then you should really water that down. Things like, if you do feel someone... I had a friend years ago, I was standing next to chatting to someone else and I got this terrible chest pain. It was so bad and I knew at that point he was going to have a heart attack. I couldn't turn around to him at that point and say, hey, I just felt that you're going to have a heart attack. I mean, that's the wrong thing to do. But I gently said to him, how have you been feeling lately? And he goes, I'm not too well. I said, I think you really need to go and have a checkup. Wouldn't hurt to have an ECG and just see how things are going. Those sorts of gentle kind of persuasions are much better than just slamming it in someone's face. Things about choices, about relationships too. You can have a very bad gut feeling about someone's partner. It's not ideal to give that information to that person because they're in that first stage of love and they don't want to know about that. And perhaps it's a lesson they need to learn as well. And we can't be always telling people what to do. That's not part of the law. So what we try to do there is that if we're having an intuition about it, we know that we've got the heads up, that we may be there for our friend if they need it. We could just sort of, have a little hint here and there. Oh, I don't think that was the right thing to say, or perhaps he's not treating you that well, or she's not treating you that well. Those little tiny messages that you can just poke in there every now and then is okay, but not the flat out, I got a gut feeling he's terrible. Right?
Because that person might really be into that person. And sometimes when someone tells you not to do something, you go and do the opposite,
particularly with teenage children, of course. So, you just need to gently with people. And you're quite right what you said before about being right. A lot of us are feeling that need to be right about things, and that's ego taking over,
Definitely. And that's what we're trying to sort of soften when it comes to this stuff, is to soften that egoic mind and those thoughts that, it's all about me. I found one thing that's really interesting when it comes to intuition. It can be a lot easier to pick it up on everybody else, but for yourself, it can be a lot harder to really be able to tune in to what's going to happen for yourself in the future. You might be able to pick up what's going on for other people. And I guess that's why we do go to readers and get check-ins and have that experience
and
as well.
And it's fun.
It is fun.
I love going to other readers and getting, little readings done and things. And even to my own students, there's a few of them, they're brilliant, some of them. And I'm like, can you give me a reading this week? And they're like, sure, So it's just fun to do. In our household, we constantly. It's just a thing, My son will come downstairs and he'll say, Mum, I think I need a reading. And we'll be, 5 minutes later at the table, we've got the tarot out, we're discussing his life, where he's headed, what he's doing. And it's just a really wonderful way of connecting. And I think that if you're open to it, if your family's open to it, it's just another way of connecting with each other on a whole new level.
It is a beautiful way to connect, isn't it? And I think that's it too. If you can get a little group of friends together, or you can get some family members that are keen to let you practice more of your intuition with each other, it can be a really fun experience.
Yeah, finding groups that are like-minded, that's an important thing. And in your area, if you've got meditation circles or people that practice Reiki maybe regularly, you could maybe pop along to those things. And that way you're with like-minded people, you can speak freely, and it gives you the opportunity to practice on others.
There are many ways to cultivate and expand your intuition, like we've mentioned today: practicing with other people, using signs and symbols, having tools like pendulums, oracle cards and tarot cards. Also be aware of synchronicities. Recently, during a meditation, I saw a toy giraffe, and then I was talking to a gentleman, and out of the blue he mentioned he'd been given a toy giraffe, and I just thought, wow, how amazing. I was meant to be at that exact place at that exact time to hear that. Something else to remember is that intuition is really inner tuition, and one of the best ways that we can practice our inner tuition is through meditation. So we're including one of Alison's meditation that helps you to clear your chakras, connect with your angels and guides, and manifest your desires. Please don't listen to this next part whilst driving, so I suggest maybe you press pause and find a nice quiet place to relax for the next 10 minutes. I hope you enjoy.
Find a comfortable position and relax. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine all the stress and tension from your body is being blown away on the breath. Do this exercise a few more times until you feel yourself becoming more and more relaxed as you breathe. Exhale. Inhale. Blowing all the stress and tension away from your body. Ask your spirit guides and angels to protect you and visualize a bright white light swirling around you. This light becomes brighter and forms a tunnel of light reaching upward above your head. You feel safe and secure because you know that your guides and angels are with you. Allow yourself to float gently upward into the light, feeling lighter and lighter as you ascend into your own space. Finally, you come to a landing made of beautiful quartz crystal. And ahead of you, you see a winding spiral staircase stretching up into a deep purple sky. You take a step onto the crystal stair. Feel the ruby red vibrant energy activate your base chakra. Moving up the stairs is very easy, and as your feet lightly touch the orange carnelian steps, you feel a rush of energy through your sacral chakra. The next few steps glow with the gold of the citrine crystal, and your solar plexus chakra is charged with the golden energy. Moving up the next steps becomes even easier as your body becomes lighter and your feet barely touch the green of the deep emerald steps. The emerald energy opens your heart, and a feeling of peace fills your chest. The blue of the sapphire steps glows with a gentle energy as you gently float above the crystal, allowing your throat chakra to be cleared of any blockages. Take note of any feelings or faces you may feel or see. You may not be communicating your needs. Use the sapphire energy to clear this. The amethyst steps glow with the energy of deep purple as your third eye is fully open to all the possibilities that lay before you. Finally, you come to the beautiful clear crystal step, and it allows you to be clear of mind as you enter the crystal room at the top of your stair. This room allows you to manifest the things you need in your life. Gather all of the energy you feel from the crystal stair to bring about what you need in your life right now. Visualize how you would like your future to be. Being mindful that the universe always sends you what you ask for. Ask for this or something better.
It is time to bring yourself back to the room. Start taking some deep breaths and allow all that you have seen to become part of your future. Believe that it will happen. As you breathe, you'll be feeling more and more refreshed. Breathing deeply now. Come back to the room, feeling your feet beneath you, knowing that you are back, feeling refreshed and centered. You may open your eyes when you're ready.
Thanks for listening to the Divine Style Podcast. Please follow, share, and tune in weekly for more spiritual and self-love guidance. You can find out more and ask questions at gerlinda.com.au and alisonmaiden.com.